LeWorldModel. That is the name of one of the recent papers shared by Dr. Yann LeCun's as in the world model. Let's go find out what it's all about. So welcome to the series Decoding Papers with AI, where I'm going to use AI tools to try and decode and understand papers. So this is the paper LeWorldModel, Stable End-to-End Joint-Embedding Predictive Architecture from Pixels, right? And this is one of the posts which Dr. Yann LeCun reshared. So let's just find out. So there's no audio. It says LeWorldModel, Stable End-to-End JEPA from Pixels. It shows an encoder and a predictor and another encoder. It's a mean squared loss, error loss. And showing this is the training phase. Okay, so this is the post. So what it says is that JEPA are finally easy to train end-to-end without any tricks. Excited to introduce LeWorldModel, a stable end-to-end JEPA that learns world models directly from pixels, no heuristics. So they show that 15 million parameters, just one GPU, and full planning less than 1 second. So it seems to be pretty cool, at least from what they're claiming so far. So what I want to do is that, as always, take this paper, feed this through some AI tools, which is going to help me understand this paper a little better, and then maybe try to read it more deeply at my own pace and so on. So let's do that. The first tool I'm going to use is Saral AI, where I'm going to upload the paper and then use one of its formats to try and understand the paper better. So now first I'm going to try one-click poster. What poster will try to just quickly summarize the paper in a very simple way. So let's just wait for the poster to get generated. Meanwhile, I was also able to look at the website. They also had this, so no EMA, full end-to-end, no stop gradient from raw pixels. No, so they had this whole, the earlier whatever animation we saw, it's also present here with some more graphs and results and animations as well. Okay, that was fast. It's already generated during check. So let me open this poster. Okay, so there was some issue with the poster getting generated. Let's try to see if I can generate the poster again. This time I just go right in this screen. So let's see if that works. Okay. All right, so this time it did generate the poster. So it says LeWorldModel stable end-to-end giant embedding predictive architecture from pixels. So that's the other main things, right? So let's see. So it has generated like a conference style poster. So it says abstract. So this is basically the same as the abstract. So I'll just go over the introduction. Developing agents that acquire skills across diverse tasks requires unified learning paradigms that operate directly from raw sensory inputs without hand-engineered state presentations. While JEPAs provide a compact space for modeling dynamics, they are prone to representation collapse. So this research introduces a streamlined framework that eliminates the need for exponential moving averages or stop gradients, and building stable end-to-end training of a 15 million parameter on a single GPU, right? And then they say how they use it. It uses a vision transformer, and it uses a couple of losses, MSE and SIG. So it's like sketched isotropic Gaussian regularizer. So I was wondering what this was. And then a few more things here and there. So then it says that LeWorldModel achieves an 18% higher success rate on push T manipulation tasks. So one of the tasks that I think they'd used, and a few more results here and there, and a 48% speed up over Dino World Model. So that's the other one. In conclusion, it says a LeWorldModel demonstrates that stable task-agnostic world models can be learned end-to-end from pixels by replacing complex training heuristics and principled statistical regularization. The emergent properties of the learned latent space include temporal straightening and physical quantity encoding and so on. Quick overview. I would say I got everything I understood, so maybe we'll try some more formats to see if we can understand furthermore. I'm back in Saral again, so I'm going to click on Saralify, and I'll just skip the keys, and I'll just upload the PDF as previously done. So this time what I'm going to do is I want to generate a podcast. So I'm going to click on one-click podcast, and it's going to generate an English podcast. So this could take a while, maybe a couple of minutes or so. So let's come back and then when the podcast is done. So the podcast is completed. So let's see what it's about.
Hey Rohan, ready to dive into this LeWorldModel paper? Sounds kinda intense.
Totally, Aisha. LeWorldModel, it's a mouthful, but the idea is pretty cool. World models from pixels.
Okay, world models, what exactly are we talking about here?
Think of it like this: an AI trying to predict what will happen next just by looking at images.
So, like teaching a robot to anticipate what's coming?
Exactly. And this paper focuses on making that learning process more stable and efficient.
Stable? How? The paper mentions representation collapse. Sounds scary.
It is. Basically, the AI's brain or the latent space can become useless if everything looks the same to it.
So, everything blurs together and it can't tell the difference between things?
Precisely. LeWorldModel tries to prevent that blurring, that collapse from happening.
And they do it how? The paper talks about two lost terms?
Right. One is about predicting the next latent state, the AI's internal representation.
Okay, so it's trying to guess what the next image will feel like internally?
Yeah, and the other lost term, that's the clever part. It forces the latent space to be Gaussian.
Gaussian? Like a bell curve? What does that even mean in this context?
Think of it as spreading out the AI's understanding, making sure it sees a wide variety of features.
So the bell curve encourages diversity in the AI's thoughts, preventing the blur?
Spot on. It's like forcing the AI to explore different aspects of what it's seeing.
Okay. That's
very nice. So this actually helped me better understand what is going on, assuming whatever it's saying is correct. And from my initial understanding, it does seem to be. So it's like one loss is used to predict the next, and whereas the other loss is trying to have a more diverse, how it related it to the Gaussian curve, so that it has more diverse sets of data points. Something like that is what I'm guessing. This does remind me of the AlphaGo, the reinforcement learning based methods, which used to just take in video and then try to learn a game and things like that from DeepMind of the early, somewhere in the mid to the early 2000s or mid into the 2010s or mid 2010s. So yeah, let's listen more.
That makes sense. And they say it only needs one hyperparameter. What's the big deal about that?
Usually, these models have tons of knobs to tweak, 6 or more. This one simplifies things drastically.
Less tweaking, more learning, got it. And it can run on a single GPU. That's also a win, right?
Huge. Makes it accessible to more researchers. No need for a supercomputer.
So, what kind of tasks did they test it on?
They used 2D and 3D control tasks, manipulation, navigation, even some robot locomotion.
Like teaching a robot to walk, but in simulation?
Exactly. And LeWorldModel was competitive with much bigger, more complex models.
The paper also mentioned probing of physical quantities. What's that about?
They were testing if the AI understood basic physics like gravity or momentum.
So, could it tell if something was physically impossible?
That's the surprise evaluation. If something defied physics, the AI should be surprised. Its latent space should react.
Interesting. Like if a ball suddenly floated upwards, it should register as unusual.
Precisely. It shows the model is learning more than just patterns, it's grasping some underlying rules.
This sounds promising. So, what are the implications of LeWorldModel?
Well, faster, more stable world models mean better AI agents. Agents that can learn from less data.
And potentially, agents that can adapt to new environments more easily?
Absolutely. It's a step towards more general purpose AI.
Okay, I'm sold. LeWorldModel, simpler, faster, and maybe even a little bit smarter.
Haha, exactly. It's a cool step forward in making AI that can truly understand the world around it.
Definitely. Thanks for breaking that down, Rohan. My brain feels a little less blurry now.
Anytime, Aisha. Always happy to explore these complex papers together.
That was nice. I liked it. This part, we just use NotebookLM to further understand the paper. So far, the podcast gave a decent understanding. And I think NotebookLM, I used the video overview, which is trying to, and in the explainer mode. Let's try to see what that has to say. So it's generated a 7-minute video. Wow. I think maybe I chose some specific anime style. So this is a cool, really cool. I'm a huge anime fan. So let's see.
You know, what if we could teach an AI to imagine? I don't just mean to see or recognize things, but to actually predict what's going to happen next in the world. Well, that's the whole idea behind a new model called LeWorldModel. And honestly, it's a huge step towards AI agents that can really understand and anticipate our world. So let's break down how it all works.
That's really nice. So the previous podcast, we were it concluded by saying that this could be one of the first steps towards the AI agents coming up, right? So that was the first time I was hearing that, okay, the world model could also be, is one of the methods that can be used in future for AI agents. Now, NotebookLM is also independently saying the same thing, and it's trying to motivate that first from the beginning itself. So when you hear these complementary information, it tries to maybe reinforce a little bit better, give you a better understanding of what could be going on.
Just think about that for a second. An AI that doesn't just react to what's happening right now, but actually imagines possibilities. What if it could run thousands of little simulations of the future inside its own, virtual mind? It could figure out the absolute best move before it ever even takes a single action. That's the kind of power we're talking about here. And believe it or not, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's a real and super important concept in AI research called a world model. Basically, it's like an internal simulator that lets an AI predict the consequences of its actions. So instead of just fumbling around with trial and error, it can actually plan ahead in its own little imagination space. But, and this is a big but, building these world models is incredibly hard. I mean, they suffer from this one fundamental, super frustrating problem that we really need to get into. So how is this supposed to work? Okay, think of it like a mini video game of the world running inside the AI's network. The AI takes what it sees, just the raw pixels from a video, and squishes it down into a compact summary. Then it uses that summary to predict what the next frame of its internal video game is going to look like. Simple enough, right? Well, here's the problem. It's something.
So this makes maybe a little bit more sense to me now. So I've seen some world models, videos of world models wherein they try to put it together in terms of a video game, like how you navigate in a video game. You can navigate that space, or you can navigate a real 3D world. These keep getting these frames, and then keep getting more and more. Maybe you can come back to the same location, and it has to know that it is back there. So now maybe from what I'm hearing from LeCun's, it's that's a challenge, really challenging to do that with because if in real world of physics and all of things, all of those constraints to hold in. So maybe this has a solutions to that. So let's go further down and see what it's about.
Called representation collapse. And it's exactly what it sounds like. This is where the model finds a loophole, a little shortcut, to basically cheat the system. It gets lazy. Okay, so picture this. A good, healthy model learns to create these rich, detailed, unique summaries for everything it sees. But a collapsed model? It figures out it can make its prediction job way, way too easy. It just maps every single thing it sees to the exact same, boring, constant summary. I mean, technically its predictions are correct. Predicting a constant from a constant is easy, but it has learned absolutely nothing useful about the world. It's a total failure. And this is where our new contender enters the ring. Researchers have developed a new architecture that's specifically designed to solve this collapse problem, and in a really elegant way. Everyone, meet LeWorldModel. LeWorldModel, or LeWM for short, is a type of joint-embedding predictive architecture, or JPAP. Yeah, I know, that's a mouthful. But all it really means is that it learns by comparing these compact summaries of the world instead of trying to perfectly recreate every single pixel. And this approach is exactly what allows it to train stably, right from video, without all the crazy, complex tricks previous models needed to avoid collapsing. and its design is just beautifully simple. It's really just two parts. First, an encoder looks at a video frame and turns it into one of those compact summaries, what researchers call a latent representation. Then, a predictor takes that summary plus an action and just tries to guess what the summary of the next frame will be. That's it. Seriously. So
this was amazing. Like this one illustration, I think we did see some similarities in the previous animations, but when I see this and then also try to kind of connect it to the previous animations and the podcast, now I'm able to like clearly visualize it, right? So you have an encoder, you have a full image or frame, and the encoder is going to like compactly like represent it in a small space, which they call the latent space. So you can imagine it as if it's a 512 by 7 512 by 512 image. You can maybe the encoder will be like a small vector, which is maybe 256 by 1 vector, and the predictor predicts the next frame based on the current one and an action. So from what I'm understanding, maybe the predictor is not going to, it's going to predict the, maybe still I need to make it clear. So it's going to predict the 256, another 256 by 1 vector instead of the full frame, and then decode it or something like that. Not sure if that's what it's trying to imply. Let's hear this again. I want to hear this again to see if that's what it says.
Beautifully simple. It's really just two parts. First, an encoder looks at a video frame and turns it into one of those compact summaries, what researchers call a latent representation. Then, a predictor takes that summary plus an action and just tries to guess what the summary of the next frame will be. That's it. Seriously. So, if it's that simple...
Okay, so I think I missed the action part here. So there is also an action involved. So that's what the predictor takes this and the action so that it predicts what could be the next action and the frame in the real world.
How does it stop itself from getting lazy and collapsing? Well, this is the secret sauce. LeWorldModel uses this really clever mathematical rule. It's a regularizer called SigReg. And what this thing does is it forces all of those compact summaries that the encoder makes to fit a very specific statistical shape, a perfect isotropic Gaussian distribution, which you probably know as a bell curve. Right, so here's the crucial part. The model can't collapse all its summaries down to a single point anymore because that would totally break the rule. It has to spread them all out to form that perfect bell curve shape. And
it's an amazing picture. So previously in the podcast, we were hearing it, right? So it tries to make it in a bell curve and make it diverse, these points diverse. And here's an amazing visualization to illustrate that, is that you can see how very nicely it's illustrated. In the middle, you have more. That's what a bell curve is supposed to have. And as you go to the tails, the number, like the representations reduces. At the same time, the visualization also shows how the diverse these things are. So quite an impressive visualization here.
This forces it to use its full capacity to actually learn a rich, diverse set of features for everything it sees. Laziness just isn't an option anymore. And this, right here, is where the true elegance of this thing shines. This one simple rule makes the entire system incredibly stable. Where older models might have 6 or even more complex settings that researchers have to spend ages tuning, LeWorldModel has just one, a single knob. That makes it so much simpler and faster to work with. It's a game changer. Okay, so it's simpler, it's more stable in theory, sounds great, but the real question is, does it actually perform? Come on, let's look at the numbers. Oh yeah, it performs. When it comes to planning, using its internal model to figure out what to do next, LeM is up to 48 times faster than other really powerful world models. That's not 48%, that's 48 times. It's a massive leap in efficiency. And the scale of this difference is just staggering. I mean, look at this chart. LeM, over on the left, it gets its planning done in under a second. The other model, a really powerful one called NotebookLM, takes a full 47 seconds to do the same thing. That is the difference between an AI that can react in almost real time and one that's just left in the dust. This table really just drives the point home. LeWorldModel is the only model here that ticks all the boxes. It learns end-to-end straight from pixels, needs just one setting to tune, and, this is the most important part, it has a provable mathematical guarantee against collapsing. It's not just some clever trick, it's a fundamentally more robust design. But check this out, it's not just faster, it's also more effective. On the standard robotics test called the push-T task, LEM hits a 96% success rate. That blows the other methods out of the water, which proves that all that efficiency doesn't come at the cost of performance. It's the best of both worlds. So all of this leads to a much deeper and way more exciting question. Okay, it's fast, it's accurate, but is it actually learning anything real about how the world works? Seriously, does this model have any kind of intuitive grasp of physics, or is it just a very, very clever pattern matcher? To find out, the researchers designed a really fascinating experiment. So they actually borrowed a test from developmental psychology, one that's used to see if babies understand physics. It's called violation of expectation. And here's how it works. They show the model a video of something totally normal, and then suddenly they break the laws of physics, like making an object teleport across the screen. Then they measure the model's prediction error as a stand-in for surprise. And the results were stunning. When an object just changed color, the model was like, meh, okay. But when an object teleported, a physical impossibility, the model's surprise level shot through the roof. This suggests it's not just matching pixels. It has actually learned a fundamental rule of our universe. Objects don't just vanish and reappear. LeWorldModel really shows us that with the right design, an AI can learn a stable, efficient, and surprisingly intuitive model of its environment just from watching videos. It's not just getting the right answers. It seems like it's getting them for the right reasons. And that leaves us with this really tantalizing thought. How long until these models move beyond simple prediction and start to form a genuine understanding of the world around us?
Wow, just amazing as always. So there we have it. Like, I definitely have better understanding of the LeWorldModel paper than before, especially with the final NotebookLM's video illustrations that really helped. I'm not an expert in this field. I mean, I've done a bit of vision, but lots of things to still pack in. Also, I need to, like, if I'm going to read the paper, further need some more help. But definitely this did unpack some of the nuances behind the paper and what it's trying to solve, and also in a nice way. And this is where the true power of AI also lies, assuming whatever is shown so far is the right answer. The AI can really help them, helping the a few baby steps in understanding these types of really, to an extent, complex research papers. So until next time.